So today, I'm going to save you some money using some fantastic drugstore alternative products for high-end. If that sounds interesting to you, then let's jump into it. This is one of my funnest videos to do, and I don't do them a lot because I like to try out products and really gather my thoughts on them before I consider them I'm going to say dupe or makeup skincare alternative to a higher end brand or product. So I think I have some really good ones here. There is some skincare products and then also some makeup items. And I'm curious, before we get started, can you tell which side I have done high-end and which side is the drugstore version? Now, this isn't a full face. I have used about 7 different products that I think are very, very comparable to their higher-end item. Now, one of the things that I do when I do these comparison videos is they may not be the exact shade. I really like to look at a product from the formula, like the consistency of it. How do they compare? There is some of these that are, the shade is very similar, but it also has to live up to the standard of the longevity of the product. How long is it staying on my face? Do they look very similar when they are applied to my face? So that's kind of how I do my alternative videos. And I do just want to have a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. On my last video, and I just want to say thank you so much. I have a bunch of new subscribers, so welcome to my channel. I did have a bunch of people mention to me that my sound seemed off or very low. So I'm not sure why. I do my audio the same way every video. So my mic hasn't changed, my audio, my editing, all of that hasn't changed. So I'm not sure why that video seemed a little bit off. But let me know if it's better this time, if it's different, if it's the same. And that just helps me out for future videos. So now that you've had a chance to look at my face, have you determined which side is which? So not to keep you in suspense anymore, this is the high-end product side, and this is the drugstore side. And when I look in the mirror, I am actually blown away of how similar, where I obviously know which products I've used. So when I'm looking in the mirror, and I'm blown away actually how similar some of these are. So let's jump into what I started off first. So we're gonna go in first with skincare products. So there's 2 skincare products that I was so happy when I found their drugstore alternative. The first product that we are discussing today is the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Niacinamide Dewdrops. Fabulous product, love it, used it for several years now. Love how it gives me a glow to my skin, very healthy looking. The niacinamide really helps with that glow. My skin feels super smooth. It also helps diminish the look of hyperpigmentation. Very hydrating. And I love that it's a serum. That's what I use it for. It's the first product that I put on my face before my moisturizer. But it runs at $47. So the alternative that I have for you guys, which is a much more affordable product, this one is $17. And it is the e.l.f. Thirst Burst Drops. Now the ingredients are slightly different, but I feel it gives me the same hydrated, glowy look, and I use it the same way. I put it on as my serum. They are both multi-use, meaning you don't necessarily have to just use it as a serum. You can use this as a highlighter as well. So when I applied it on my face today, you'll be able to see how luminous and glowy my skin is. I usually give the products a few minutes to sink into the skin before I go in with my next skincare product. It never feels greasy. They both have niacinamide in them. The Glow Recipe does smell like a watermelon scent, and you can also use both of them as a primer. So that's the Glow Recipe one there. And then there is the e.l.f. one. You can see the Glow Recipe one is a little bit more clear than the e.l.f. one, but they both absorb beautifully into the skin. So we'll do the Glow Recipe one first. Beautiful, hydrating. And then we'll do the e.l.f. one. But you can't tell which one is which. Look at how beautiful that looks. With both products, my skin does have a plumper appearance to it. But for actual ingredients, they both are niacinamide and hyaluronic acid. The e.l.f. one has hibiscus complex in it. But like I said, both of them can be used as a serum. They can be mixed in with your foundation. You can use them as highlighters. But for the actual difference in both products, which you can see on my face and after I've applied them, and also when I've rubbed them into my hand, no difference at all. Both are beautiful products, but the e.l.f. one is so much more affordable. All right, moving on to product 2. So this is probably my favorite find of the past couple of months. And it's a product I use every single day, which I think is really important. Sunscreen is one of the most important products you can wear on your face every single day. And that is the Supergoop Unseen Sunscreen. Now, I always have picked up the smaller size because I do use a whole bunch of different SPF products. So I don't want this one to expire because it is expensive. This mini size, which is 20 mils, is around $30. If I'm not mistaken, I think the full size is like $52 or something like that. So not cheap, but a great product. This was my favorite sunscreen. I love how it is invisible, so it doesn't even look like you're putting anything on your face. You'll see today when I'm running the B-roll that you'll see how it literally is invisible. There's no white cast at all to it. It just blends seamlessly into the skin. And one of the best things was I was also using it as a primer. So that saves me so much time, especially in the summertime when I am feeling a bit rushed and I just want to get out the door. I just throw this on, don't have to worry about that second step of a primer. Well, guess what came to the market? And it was an e.l.f. product. And no, this is not being sponsored by e.l.f. at all. I just really love their products. So it's the e.l.f. Sun Touchable Invisible Sunscreen. Wow. This is by far, out of everything I'm going to show you today, this one really truly is one of the biggest dupes. Is the same. The only difference between the two of them is the e.l.f. is SPF 35 and the Supergoop is 40. So if you wanted more of a higher SPF, then you'd go with the Supergoop. So there's a lot of days where sometimes I'm wearing this sunscreen, and then if I am wearing like a tinted moisturizer, a lot of the tinted moisturizers that I wear also has an SPF in it. So I'm kind of getting double duty there. So the only having a 35 doesn't bother me that much. But for the actual consistency, what a remarkable product. And one of the wonderful things about this one is it's around $18. And you can see you get a whole bunch more. Like this is a 50 mil. And what, like I was showing you, this was a 20 mil of the miniature size. So you're getting way more product. And you'll see in the B-roll where I'm applying it, it looks exactly the same. And it has that same process that you can use it as a primer as well. It just glides on, well, I'm going to say both of them. So both products do just glide onto the face. And I always let my sunscreen sit for about 10 minutes before I start going in with other products. So a lot of the days I just go and start doing my other makeup, like I'll do my eye makeup or my eyebrows, and then I go in with whatever skin products that I'm putting on. And on this one, I'm getting down to the nitty gritty. So I'm so glad I found that e.l.f. one because I shouldn't have to repurchase this Supergoop one now because I was just about out. So the Supergoop one you can see here. So this is Supergoop and it is a little bit more clear, whereas this is the e.l.f. one. So here's e.l.f. over here. But for actual consistency of when I rub it in, it's not, it's not greasy feeling at all. And like I said, it absorbs beautifully into the skin. Both of them play so well under makeup. Like that's one of the things about when I always play around with sunscreens is how are they going to look underneath my makeup, and are they going to make it look worse, better? And there's the e.l.f. But just from the two sides now, can't really see any difference. They both have absorbed beautifully into the skin. They both feel like that same consistency on both fingers. They feel exactly the same. So happy when we got this one here in Canada. And don't get me wrong, Supergoop has some amazing, amazing sunscreen products. But for the price point, if I can get a alternative product, I'm going with the e.l.f. Okay, so moving on to product 3. So now this is one of them where the shade isn't going to be exact, but this was more about the formula of the product. So on the one side, I have the Anastasia Brow Wiz. This is in the shade medium brown. Great pencil, use it a lot. I like how it is like an ultra fine pencil. It makes quick work of getting any of those little sparse areas. It deposits the product really well. You'll see in the B-roll that as I'm running it, there's not a lot of tugging as I'm applying the product. Really defines the eyebrow hairs. And I find it has just the right amount of the pigment color and wax. And just makes my eyebrows look really natural looking. And one of my biggest pet peeves about eyebrow products is the spoolie. How soft is the spoolie? Well, this one is really, really gentle, very soft. Does not do any sort of tugging. Like the bristles are so gentle on the skin as you're putting it through. Great pencil, like I said. Well, the alternative that I found for you guys is by NYX. So this is the NYX Micro Brow Pencil. Now, what I said earlier about the shade, this one is in the shade Brunette. So this one is a little bit darker. I couldn't find one that was exact of like a medium brown, but this one is same thing, has the very micro pencil. I will say for both products, they're both sturdy. So sometimes you can find pencils that they are like that micro tip, but they end up snapping on you. Whereas both of them are very, very sturdy that way. And actually looking at them right now, they look very similar in even the packaging. But I'll show you the two different shades. So this one on the end here is the Anastasia, and then this one over here is the NYX. So shade is a little bit off, not bad though. But like I said, what I'm looking for this one was how well this one deposits the color, exactly like the Anastasia. Very precise, hair-like strokes, very natural looking. I don't have to put a lot of effort in as I'm running it through my brows. And I'm going to say over the last couple of years especially, my eyebrows have become very sparse. So they're really thinning out, especially just in this area here, and then definitely on the tail. And where I started noticing it is that I don't even have to go to get my eyebrows waxed anymore. I haven't done that for probably about 4 years now. I definitely needed it, and then it just has been slowly diminishing over time here. So one less thing I have to do, I guess. But I have to do a little bit more work then with my brows to make them fill in. So this pencil checks all the boxes, and the spoolie is very soft as well. So that is such a big bonus for me. I am a spoolie snob, I guess, because there is sometimes just drugstore version eyebrow pencils where if the spoolie is hard and it actually hurts as you're putting it through your brow. No, I don't like those at all, and I'll return them. So this one is not like that at all. Great product, and the fraction of the price. This one, I forgot to tell you the prices. So the Anastasia one is $34, and the NYX one runs at about $15. So quite a considerable price difference and a great alternative product for you. So before we get started into product number 4, I did just want to show you quickly my eyebrows and how I mean, looking in the mirror, I cannot see a difference between the two of them. Even the shade actually blended in quite nicely. So, I mean, I can't tell the difference if I use the Anastasia on this side and the NYX on this side. They both look very, very similar. Jumping into product number 4 is a foundation. So the higher end one that we're going to talk about is the Clinique Even Better Clinical Foundation. So I'd say I'd be using this foundation for a couple of years now. It's not one that I use every single day. I find it is a little bit more of a fuller foundation, like a fuller coverage foundation, but it's not bad. It doesn't settle into my fine lines. You'll see when I have the B-roll going, I applied it with my rougher sponge. I do have this one in the shade CN10, which is Alabaster. But this is quite a lovely foundation. It gives more of a matte finish. This does have SPF 25 in it, so a little bit of extra sun protection for you. It does have some hyaluronic acid in it because it is a serum foundation. I find it makes my skin look smooth and gives a radiant kind of look to it. It's definitely not a glowy foundation or dewy, but it gives a satiny, I'm going to say satiny look to my face. So this is one of the ones that I use if I do want more of a fuller coverage look for the day. And I also wanted to say, like, all the products that I'm showing you are very good for mature skin. The negative about this foundation is this is about $65. Yes, that, okay. Now I know it wasn't that price when I picked it up, so it definitely has gone up in price. Well, looky what I found is a drugstore alternative. I'm comparing it to the Maybelline, the 30-Hour Lumi Matte Foundation. Now, this is a new find for me. I did a whole first impression video on it, and I was a little leery about trying it. I actually had a viewer, I think it was either my last video or maybe a video ago, they had said, what does it mean by Lumi Matte? Because that doesn't seem right. And I don't know what it is. It's the formula. Because having very dry, mature skin, I stay away from matte formulas. I do not like matte formulas. I find that they just make my skin look super dry, settle into any little fine line I have. So I am more of a dewy, luminous, glowy kind of foundation person. But this one actually surprised me. So you'll see in my B-roll how I applied it onto this side. So even now, when you're looking at my face, I don't think you can see a difference between the two sides. So this is in the shade 118. This is probably one of those few foundations that I picked up off the shelf and it was a shade match for me. So that was another big plus for me. I find it doesn't leave my skin like dull or flat looking. It gives the exact same radiance that the Clinique does. I find I get that same radiance on the Maybelline side. And this is a fraction of the cost. So when I just Googled it now, it said it was about $23, but I don't remember paying that when I picked it up. I think I got it on sale and it was maybe about $19. So a considerable difference in the price. And this one I applied using my e.l.f. sponge because I wanted both sides to be exactly the same of how I applied it. They both feel very lightweight on the face, like neither side feels any different. So they're both very light. I would say for the Maybelline, you can definitely build this one up more if you did want more of a fuller coverage. They both have a decent shade range. But like I said, I was just blown away by how pretty this looked on the skin. It doesn't feel overly drying on my skin. Like I said, it was one of those things that the word matte always scares me, but it doesn't leave me looking really matte and dry. It does have that luminosity you can kind of see on my face. So very, very impressed with this. I always make sure that my skin is very hydrated before I wear it. So using this e.l.f. really does help, having a nice moisturizer on and then that sunscreen. I think that all provides that extra protection so this doesn't look overly drying on my face. But I love how it gives me a full day's wear out of this. This looks as good at the end of the night as when I put it on in the morning. And I have some long days at work. There was just this week, actually, I had a really super long day. And I had this on for, I'm going to say about 17 hours. And when I was taking my makeup off at the end of the night and I was looking in the mirror going, wow, this actually looks really good. So if you're one of my dry skin, mature friends out there, just make sure if you do pick this up, make sure you hydrate your skin really well. And I don't think you'll have any issues with it. And then I will do just a bit of a swatch for you. So this is the Clinique. And on this hand, I will put the Maybelline. So neither one of them, you can see, is overly runny at all. The Maybelline has maybe a little bit more fluid to it. But once I start rubbing them in, like even the shade is pretty decent for a shade match. But that's the Clinique. Okay, so it looks quite lovely. You can see it has a little bit of a satin finish to it. Doesn't look overly drying. And then when I rub in the Maybelline, you can see kind of like a satiny look. It's not like overly matte, overly drying. Well, like I mentioned, I was just blown away by how similar they looked and a fraction of the price for the Maybelline. All right, so product number 5 is an eyeliner. Now, this isn't going to be a huge cost savings, but I was super surprised that I found a drugstore alternative to this product. So the one on the high-end side is actually one by Sephora, and this is like a holy grail eyeliner for me. I use this one pretty much every single day. I will use it to tightline, I will use it to just run it along my upper lash line, and I also use it underneath my lower lash line. So this one is the Sephora 12-hour retractable pencil, and it is the shade, and this is also waterproof, it is the shade Shimmer Taupe. So it is such a beautiful shade that goes with so many eye colors. It is such a pretty, pretty shade. It's one of those shades that just doesn't look too bold, too stark. It gives like a softness to the eye. So like I said, this is like a holy grail. This is one of those repurchase products that I actually carry like 2 or 3 on the side. I never want to be without it. And it's retractable and it runs at about $19. What I discovered was when I picked up the NYX, this is the Vivid Rich, and the shade is called Under the Moonstone. I was putting it on one day and I went, this looks very similar to my Sephora one. And when I went and quickly grabbed it and swatched it, and I went, oh my goodness, this is very similar. Now the difference is this is only about $10. It's the same kind of, it's retractable, waterproof, but here is that shade. So the Sephora one is just a tad bit darker. Look at how soft that looks. So it's not that of like a big shade difference, but where I really wanted to show you was under my eyes. So you can see, so in the B-roll that I'm going to show you, I applied both the eyeliners. I put them right above my lash line, and I applied it right underneath my lash line. And then if I'm coming closer to you, you can see under both eyes. Keep in mind, this is the Sephora one. This is the NYX one, of how similar they look under the eyes. And I usually, with my eyeliners, I maybe go about halfway to 3/4. I don't go like right into the like tear duct area. But I was blown away of how similar these are. The only difference, I guess, with the Sephora one is on the end here, you do get like a little, like a smudger and also a sharpener. Whereas the NYX one, you don't. So that, I mean, does that make up for the $9? No, I don't think so. But great alternative product if you're looking for an affordable eyeliner. All right, so product number 6 is a lip liner. So on my high-end side, I put the Lancome e.l.f. Lip Shaper in the shade Lisa's Coral Glow. So this is a creamy matte lip liner. Don't get me wrong, really nice lip liner, very creamy. It is a pencil that you do have to sharpen it. I really did like the shade of it. That's why I picked it up. It does a nice job of defining the lip, and it's waterproof. So the lip liner does end up staying for a longer amount of time on my lips throughout the day. The negative is, I think this was about $34. Not very affordable for just a lip liner. Well, one day, again, well, I usually come across these when I'm getting ready for work. And I always try and use different products, you know, throughout my week for makeup and stuff like that. And as I was putting on this one lip liner, I went, that looks like a very similar shade to my Lancome one. So I was like, oh, I think it is. So I did go and I quickly ran and swatched it. And sure enough, it was pretty close. Pretty close. Not the exact shade match, but I'm going to say a great alternative. So I'm talking about the NYX. This is just a lip pencil. It's the shade Peekaboo Neutral. Now, it is a pencil that you do have to sharpen as well. I'm going to say this one isn't as creamy as the Lancome one, obviously, for the price difference. But what really blows me away is this is about $6. So, of course, there's going to be differences between the two of them. So for the shade match, this is going to really impress you. So on the one side, I'll show you the B-roll where I put the one side I did with the Lancome. Other side I did with the NYX. Okay, so there's the Lancome. There is the NYX. So I'm going to say that is pretty darn close. Like really close. And even when you compare the two of them side by side, yes, the Lancome looks from the outside here, does look like a little bit oranger, and the NYX is a little bit pinker. But come on, you guys, that is really close. For the price difference, I think I can handle a $6 lip liner. And with that, this one does actually stay on for a good amount of time. So I think a great alternative to the Lancome. Now this product, I do have to thank a viewer because she asked in the comments how this compared to the drugstore version. And I went, that's a very good question. And I discovered that the drugstore version is a great alternative to this higher end product I'm going to show you. This is a lip product, and it is the Anastasia Lip Velvet. I have this in the shade Kiss. Now, beautiful packaging. Love Anastasia products. Very nice. For here in Canada, I believe this was running about $33. So I love the shade. Very pretty. What I discovered about this particular product, the more that I wear it, I found it didn't last as long as I thought it should, because it is like a liquid lipstick. But the twist with this one is it's more of like a mousse. So I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up, but it actually has a moussey texture to it. So that's the shade. So very pretty, comfortable on the lip. But the other thing that I found with this one is I found it to be a little bit drying. So one thing that I do to combat any sort of liquid lip, because some of them can be a bit drying, is I always make sure that I have like a lip oil on when I'm doing my makeup. Usually that's one of the first things that I do is put a lip oil on, and then I just do the rest of my makeup. And then when I'm ready for my lip product, a lot of the times the lip oil has like absorbed into my lips. When I do wear liquid lipsticks, they don't feel as drying for me. But this one, it was a bit drying. And then what I started doing was just wearing like a little bit of like a lip gloss on top. You know, it was a little, oh, okay, that's too bad. Well, a new product that I discovered, and I've only had it a few weeks now, but this was the one that the viewer was asking me about. And it's the Maybelline Superstay Teddy Tint. When I had it in my video that I did, and I'll put the thumbnail over here for you, it has a similar wand. But you can kind of see this one is more of a liquidy type of product, and it's actually considered to be more of a stain. And that one is right here. So you can see the shade is, I'm going to say, pretty decent. It's not exactly the exact shade match, so it's not a dupe that way. The consistency of it, this one you can see right off the bat looks a little bit more hydrating, but it is considered to be more of like a matte type of product. So once it dries down on the lip, it feels very lightweight, very comfortable. I know I did have some people saying that they did find it a little bit drying. Like I said, I personally didn't have that experience with it just because I make sure my lips are really, really hydrated before. If I can see that my lips do look a little bit dry, like I said, I apply just either put a little bit more lip oil on after the product or just wear like a lip gloss. And I usually don't have that issue. But what a wonderful little product. And this one said it was about $20, but I know I didn't spend that much on it. I think I got it for like $15. But it is a product that went viral as well. And I'm really, really enjoying it. I like how it's a lip stain. As it's going to fade on my lip, it does give a little bit of a gradual look. But you can see I am wearing both products on my lips right now. And I don't think you can see the difference. Remember, that's Anastasia, that's Maybelline. And for the consistency on the lips, they look exactly the same once they've dried down. My lips don't feel very dry right now. And I've had this on for a couple hours at least. So wonderful little product. Packaging is super cute. And it has like a decent amount of shade ranges. Same with the Anastasia. It has like quite a shade range. I'm a neutral kind of gal, so that's why I gravitate towards these ones. And one of the nice things about this one is you can build it up. And I did explain that in my video that when I tested it. You can put it into 3 different layers. So one is more like a stain, and then you can build it up to more of like a bolder color. The third one is like a more bold shade. But this was actually just one little swipe. So you can see how much pigment is on my lip. So I thought that was pretty decent. And I really, really like the applicator. This is a very spongy applicator. And it's really hard to describe. Like it feels very like spongy on the lip. And in the comment when she asked me which one I prefer, I actually said to her that I preferred the Maybelline, because this one lasted longer than the Anastasia did. This one was started wearing off way sooner than this one. So if this was your first time hanging out with me, hi and welcome. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Drop me a comment down below whether you have tried any of these products or if you guys know of any great dupes. I always love to hear from you guys. Like I mentioned at the beginning, these are really, really fun to do. If I can save you guys some money, I'd love that. And I just like testing out new makeup, so everything will be linked and listed down below in my description box, as well as all the other makeup that I have on my skin today. Sometimes I get asked what I'm wearing, on my eyes and that sort of thing. That will always be down in there. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe if you're not already. And as always, I hope everybody has a great week and a great life, and I'll see you all very soon in my next video. Bye!